Assalamu alaikum. It's nice to see you again as we continue to discuss how we can bring the divine characteristics of the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into our daily lives to improve our relationships with our family and our spouses. So the name that we're going to discuss today is Al-Basir, which means the all-seeing. Within a relationship, we've talked quite frequently in our episodes about the importance of building trust, and particularly in terms of enhancing that marital bond. When we trust our spouse, we don't have that temptation of trying to see everything that the spouse is doing. Yet the reality is we often come to a place where we begin to think that if my spouse doesn't know, then it's okay. If my spouse doesn't see something, then it's okay. And one of the unfortunate phenomenons that we're seeing in our counseling center quite frequently these days is the issue of infidelity. And that infidelity often arises first from that need to satisfy the nafs despite going against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but second from that feeling of what my spouse doesn't know, what won't hurt him or won't hurt her. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Basir, the all-seeing, and He sees everything. So when we act in our relationships with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost in mind, recognizing that He is Al-Basir and that He will see everything that we do, this is where we can stop ourselves from going down that path of thinking something is okay to do if our spouse doesn't see it. The same goes for our children in terms of tarbiyah and trying to raise them in a way where they understand the concept of taqwa, where they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they fear Allah out of a love for Him because they recognize that He is Al-Basir, As-Sami'a, the all-seeing and the all-hearing. When we talk about seeing, this brings us to another point that's incredibly important in the relationship, in the marriage relationship in particular, which is that we do tend to judge with our eyes. And although we'll often say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in the marriage relationship, after the first year passes and the second year passes, maybe taking care of our looks becomes less of a priority. And we begin to think that it's okay to be comfortable at home. And as much as that comfort is a huge, important part of building that trust between husband and wife, it's also important to recognize that the same way that you might want to beautify yourself when you leave the home, you would want to beautify yourself within the home as well. And it's not just a shallow beautification, but that beautification comes with a smile. It comes with an expression that is softened. It comes with gestures that are not threatening or that are not putting someone down. And that's where the true beauty comes from. And again, seeing that in the relationship helps the spouse get closer and closer to one another. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Basir, allows us to see only the best in our spouses always, to see the best in our children, and to help guide them to recognize what true taqwa is and how to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Basir, in all that they do. Jazakum Allahu khair, and I look forward to speaking to you again in our next episode as we continue to bring the divine into the daily. Assalamu alaikum.